Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, beautiful souls. This is Glenn here, and welcome to Season 7, Episode 2 of A Touch of Grace. Today's guest is Anthony Pathfinder. He is going to discuss writing, publishing, and more. Now, before I get a chance to start the show this morning, just want to have a little slight intro here. With my father and mother's spirits tucked neatly in my heart, I'll proceed with a few of their motivational sayings to start the show. So my mom would say, show up and show out, which I plan to do each and every time. And my pops would say, let no one or nothing worry me. And I'm doing my best not to do that. So last week, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the show on grief. It was definitely one that I will remember, and I'm glad I made my mom's voice immortal on my show page. Last week, I had a bullet in the head moment that we all get through. Now, it sounds a little menacing, and I call them bullet in the head moments because sometimes life throws at us a hard curveball. But we just hold on, focus, and we get through by being proactive. And so before I start the show, I just want to say one other thing, and I know you guys are probably sick of me saying this on Facebook, but, you know, preventative health care, man, you guys, you got to get it. We're dying younger and younger of preventative diseases such as colon cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer. You guys get your checkups, man. You know, the people who love you want you around for a while, you know. So do that. So I'll get off my little soapbox here, and I'm going to go ahead and welcome a man named Anthony Pathfinder. Anthony was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and he moved to the United States as a child. Now, I'm reading this from his excerpt. His early years were spent in the Bronx, where he attended elementary, middle, and high school, and CUNY Queens College. He considers himself a citizen of the world. He edited me last week because I didn't write it right. He loves to travel, interact, and learn about global cultures. He says, I write because the craft chose me. So this morning, I am going to welcome him to the show, and let me get him off of mute. Hey, Anthony, what's up, man?
Hey, man. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I called you early this morning because we haven't talked in a while.
Yes, it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, how's things been going?
I guess you can say it's been going pretty good, you know. What is there to complain about? It's life. You just do what you have to. You know, like I just heard what you said about your dad, you know, and your mom. You know, it runs along those lines. You do what you have to do, and you get it done, and you keep on going.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, you know, we have been networking for the past few years, and you encountered me at some of my worst times, you know, with my active substance abuse, and we still remain friends. So for those moments that were really questionable, live on the air, I want to say thank you for understanding and for being my friend, man. I really appreciate everything, and I apologize for stepping out of line, and you're just really a good guy, and I thank you.
No, man, it's you know, there wasn't any stepping out of line as far as I'm concerned. You know, you've been through your thing. You know, we call it the rage of the wind, and you know, you survived and you're still here, brother. So that's what matters. You know what I mean? That's what's most important. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. I really do. And the brotherhood that we've established, because my Facebook page was up at 2,000 and something. So I whittled that down over the years as birthdays would pop up. People that never interacted or said anything, you comment on their posts, they ignore you. And so I just, you know, I dumped all of those to just, you know, keep the core individuals, and you, of course, being one. Now, I know that you moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. Yeah, I think you're in Vegas right now. And you have reworked a lot of your books. I think you got married, I think is what you said.
Yes, I did. Yes.
And your lovely wife is a whiz when it comes to graphic design. I'm sitting here looking at your website, EastSouth Publishing.com.
Yes.
EastSouthPublishing.com. So
and there's also EastSouth. There's also EastSouth Design as well.
Okay, EastSouth Design. And I'm looking at a bunch of stuff on here. I mean, you're tied in with Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Lulu, where I publish my book. You guys do editing, interior formatting, cover design, just to name a few things. And if you guys want to know the full hookup, just go to that website. But Anthony, I want you to take me through the beginning of your writing. What made you get into writing, my friend?
To be honest with you, it started many, many years ago as a child. Because, growing up, I saved a lot of comic books. I was a comic book buff. Basically, when I was in Jamaica, I saved all these comic books, and I used to write, like, poetry from back then. I read a lot of stuff like the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, things like that, those children books and stuff. And it was always in me, so when I left and came to the States as a child, I just kept writing like poems, poetry and stuff like that, but it was just always in me, the writing stuff, the writing part of it. As far as novels are concerned, that didn't occur until later, many, many years later, but I did write, I believe, over 400 to 500 poems stacked up. Yeah, and to be honest with you, it was one of my professors. I'll be honest with you. She was from Guyana, and I showed her some stuff of mine, and she basically said to me, "Have you ever thought about publishing them?" And the stuff that I showed her actually weren't poems or poetry or anything like that. Excuse me. It was like essays that I had written. Because I would just write about topics. Because I was in school, so I would just write about anything, political or whatever the case is. And she suggested to me, "Why don't you just publish some of these things?" What she didn't know was when she told me to publish some of these things, I was thinking about publishing my poetry. Right. So that's what I did, and I started from there, and I decided one day, hey, maybe all these ideas that I have, some of these poems and stuff like that, and that's how it began.
Yeah, and you know what? And one thing I want to say, because I know that the books I write are more about relationships and things, because that's where my heart was at the time. And we talked a little bit last year about, reformatting some of our earlier books. Mine, of course, my first four were like 8.5 by 11. But then I always noticed the titles of your books, because you had mentioned what you wrote about. There's a book called Don't Look Back, and then you have one called The Seeing Eyes, and then another one called The Woman in Compartment 13. So the books that you write are like thrillers, or is it drama? And how did you get into the headspace to, because that's some intense writing there. What type of intense headspace do you get into? Is it taken from, things you've seen, or how do you do that?
Okay. It's also about my life experiences. Okay. The things that I experienced growing up, especially in New York City, when it comes to dramatic events and stuff like that, personal stuff that took place, just traveling across the world, seeing how other cultures and how other people live, and things like that. And just my mom had 9 kids, 7 of us are still alive. Yeah. So when it comes to like some of my titles, where like in Fair Game, my main character is a female and things like that. And also a few of the minor characters in that story as well. I basically look towards my sisters, my female cousins and stuff like that. And I incorporated all that into the storyline just from their experiences as well. And also from my experiences being with certain females, like dating back in the day and stuff like that, my girlfriends and stuff. I took those things and I just put a spin on it and so on and so forth. And the key for me is this. I'm a writer. first and foremost, I'm not pigeonholed to one genre.
Right.
Right. And also, again, it goes back to when I was growing up and just reading, because I read a lot. I'm a ferocious reader. I read even to this day. I just read. So your mind you kind of have a place in your mind or a space in your mind where you bring all these characters into being, so to speak. Like with the woman in compartment 13, I thought about certain aspects of how a person can be mild-mannered at the same time, but yet evil.
Right.
You know, basically giving an impression that I'm well-liked, yet still they're going through a lot of personal issues, and they respond by committing certain acts, you know. So all these things are part of it, but I'm not into the romance type stuff. Which you do know, you're seeing my works and stuff like that. I'm not into the lovey, kissy type stuff, if you want to put it that way. You know? Yeah.
I definitely get it.
Elements in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elements in. Right. But my thing is like with the seeing eyes, the underlying part of the seeing eyes is this, and I share this with people a lot. I said if you read most of my novels, it's about the underlying facts are what's going on right now. What's going on right now in our world, our time, especially with the seeing eyes. Because the seeing eyes is about a group of humans who goes to another planet and unknowingly return back with the seeing eyes. And the seeing eyes are basically observing us, watching everything that we're doing, how we're treating each other, and ultimately they decide whether to destroy us or let us destroy ourselves. And there are a lot of tidbits in there about how we treat each other right now, especially with what's going on politically. But I just put it in. I just put it in the stories. Excuse me. I just kind of like put it in the stories where if you're reading it and if you know what's going on, you go, oh, even though these guys are aliens and supposed to be extraterrestrial, I see the connection, and that's how I write.
Yeah, you know. Well, one thing I have to say, first of all, I was real nervous when I started this particular interview because I always get butterflies before I start the show. And last week I was just, because I hadn't been on the mic in so long. Yeah, and so for some reason I calmed down. That's why at the beginning I'd ask you about the music. I said, well, let me put some music on to listen to. Okay. But what I want to ask, just from my perspective, because you do have many books. As a matter of fact, how many books do you have total right now?
15.
Okay. All right. And because I need
Don't ask me to name them all.
Okay, I won't.
Don't ask me to name them all.
But which one would you recommend for me and whoever is listening? Because I'm going to buy one of your books because I need to do that. Okay. Which one would you recommend that I buy? This other one sounds really interesting. The Seeing Eyes, I guess, is what you were talking about. That sounds trippy.
Yes, I would definitely recommend that, The Seeing Eyes.
Yeah, because you mentioned, because there's a lot of parallels of what's going on in the world today. It's just crazy. But let me ask you a question on a side note. I know that the late legend Bob Marley, who was from Jamaica, they just did a movie about him. And even though I was never really into reggae, I mean, there were some songs that I really liked reggae from like Matthew Priest. I like a lot of his. Even Shabba Ranks had a few. But what did you think about the movie that's out there? I mean, when you look at films like that, do you look to see if it's right on point, or do you look and say, hey, I would have did this? But what are your thoughts about that movie that just was released?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question, to be honest with you. Because for me, I'm a huge Bob Marley fan. And I haven't seen the movie. I've seen clips of the movie. I've listened to what people have said. And what I find fascinating is that it's a love story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a love story between Bob and Rita Marley, his wife.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of people, or the people or persons who were there with Bob at the beginning were excluded. And that's Rita and Ziggy Marley's movie. That's their movie. So I have to respect that. That's how they wanted to shine the light on Bob, so to speak. But none of his other baby mothers were mentioned. None of his close friends were mentioned. There was a part where Peter Tosh, the guy who played Peter Tosh, actually came out in the Jamaican Observer and said they cut all his parts. At the final cut, they cut his part out. And this is the guy who taught Bob and Bunny Wailer how to play the guitar. Okay? Right. So for me, knowing all these things and from hearing what different people have to say and from seeing clips and stuff like that and listening to some of his friends, some of Bob's friends that he grew up with, so on and so forth, just listening to them, my thing is this. I am going to see the movie on my own, but from all that's been said, it's a love story between Bob and Rita Marley, and that's it. That's their story, and people can't get upset about that because that's their story. It's like a personal relationship between you and your mother or you and your dad. That's a personal relationship. You're not going to highlight situations with your brothers or your siblings, the rest of your siblings and external family members. No, this is just between you and your dad or your mom.
Exactly.
So it's basically something like that. So I don't have a problem with that, but what I do have an issue with is that it's been overdue. Yeah, the story of Bob Marley should have been done many years ago because this guy has been an international aficionado, so to speak. You know, a revolutionist through his music, and so. Yeah, but I have no problem with him. I actually saw him once, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, being that you grew up in Jamaica, were you able to talk to him or shake his hand, or what was that encounter like?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in Jamaica because I left when I was 11 years old.
Oh wow! Okay.
I saw him in New York City, in the Bronx. Yeah, I was like, I think I was like 13 or 14, and there's this huge Jamaican community in the Bronx, and a lot of Jamaican athletes, so-called celebrities, singers, whenever they would travel to the States, they would come to this area because they know people from the neighborhood, from back home, and they settled in that neighborhood. Actually, Bob was at Madison Square Garden at the time. He was playing at Madison Square Garden. I believe he was in a concert with what's his name? Lionel Richie and that group he was with. They were all playing at Madison Square Garden.
The Commodores. Yeah, the
Commodores. Yes. And he came to see some folks back then, and I was there, myself and my friends, and they were like, oh, there was Bob Marley. But then he wasn't as big as he would become later on, but we knew, being that we know about him.
Right,
and,
exactly.
Yeah, we just said what's up to him, and that was it.
Yeah, well, one thing, that's going to be my introduction, because when I saw it, and just like with any biography or that they make, such as Ray Charles and God knows how many Whitney Houston biographies that, they've done. And I saw Notorious with the Notorious Big, which I thought was well done. I saw the one with the South Central, I can't think of their name right now, but the one that Ice Cube was in, I thought I thought that was well done. And then it's messed up that they jacked up the Tupac movie, because I was really looking forward to that. But after seeing Notorious and Straight Outta Compton, I was really disappointed. So I'm definitely going to look into the Bob Marley one because it just looks really wonderful.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Love Story. You know, that's right up my alley anyway. I'm a hopeless romantic. But so anyway, so let's talk about, okay, so you and your beautiful wife. It's a trip how I knew you before you guys got married. I don't know if it was before you guys met,
Correct.
but I know that you shared a lot. You shared a lot, and then when you found her, and then you guys moved to Las Vegas, and she looked at some of your books. I think if my mind serves me correctly, and she said, "No, you're gonna have to rework this." So she found. I've never met her yet.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
she did.
this website is phenomenal. I know that. I think I read someplace where.
I'll let her know.
Yeah, definitely let her know that Glenn says, because I GD, people still call me GD, but I'm Glenn, and I'm okay with being Glenn now. You know, that's the whole growth type thing. So, so you have many authors under you correctly, under your publishing. How many authors do you have with you now?
We have at least 5 right now.
Okay. Is Brooklyn one of them?
Yes.
Yeah. I got to get that. I got to get that
brother
on
you
the
as
show.
well.
I know. Yeah. Well, like I said, I had a come to Jesus moment last week with my finances, and but it's just something to take care of because, like I said, I took care of my IRS thing, knocked it out. That's done, and this is just a last piece of my old life that came back to haunt me, but I'm very confident and know how to deal with that. And, you know, I had to push my Alaskan 11-day cruise back because I'm going to do a lot of vlogging on that one because I want the, I want the cabin with the, the balcony and, so next spring
you posted about it, right? You did.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And check this out, man. Check this out. So, I post a lot. I'm getting used to being in front of the camera a little bit more because I follow a lot of different vloggers like Quincy J and a bunch of like a couple other people that I follow that travel and they do this vlogging and they're using those drones and these incredible cinematography shots. So I said, okay, let me get used to being in front of the camera because I'm gonna do the same thing when I go on the cruise, right?
Yeah, you should.
So I had to pull the plug, to get things, ironed out. But the biggest thing of all, from one creative to another, and I want to let you know that when I see your stuff, your posts, and I know that you're out there moving and shaking and grooving. It's like, man, my energy is so with you, and I say that with tears in my eyes because you inspire me and the other creatives that I interact with. Chris Rizek, who's going to be on the show tomorrow, and his website, Soul Tracks, who's just been so kind and considerate. Sorry, Chris, about Detroit Lions, but anyway, I had to get that in there. Just kind souls out here being creatives like the higher power made us be. So I'm not going to drag this on too long, but I just want to say thank you so much for being a positive influence on my life, man. And is there anything that you want to put out for the listeners to know about EastSouth Publishing? The mic is yours.
Yeah, they can always go to EastSouthPublishing.com, take a look at the site, and they'll see that we can provide any services that they need when it comes to literature, and whether it's editing, whether it's proofreading, whether it's getting your book cover polished and well designed, it's there. And they can also take a look at my site, AnthonyPathfinder.com, where my all my novels are there as well. And also, they can also find me on Facebook, Anthony Pathfinder, and IG as well, and on Thread. But one thing I'll say about EastSouth Publishing, for me, it was something new. It was something different because just writing and using Amazon over the years was something that I was used to, and I knew that like the back of my hands. But the publishing thing was totally something new. because now you're responsible for taking on someone's project, and you're responsible for doing a heck of a job for them. So for me, that became, I had to attack it just as I would my own works,
Right.
And I had to basically channel a time frame, make sure that everything was done on time, and so on and so forth. So it was new, for me, and with my wife being there too. I'll be honest, I wouldn't 50-50. I'll say it was like 70-30. Her 70 and my 30.
Okay, well that's okay, because sometimes that's how it is, and because I don't want to just keep referring to her as your wife, because like I said, eventually I'll get a chance to meet her because I'll be in Vegas probably sooner than later. But what is your wife's first name?
Oli, O-L-Y.
Oli, love it. Hey, Oli, thank you so much for being a great person here in this world. And thank you so much for the beautiful thing that you do with graphic design and everything like that. And Anthony, I'm going to put it out here as well. Any of your authors that are interested in being on the show, feel free to email me at my email address, which you already know, authorgdgrace@gmail.com. And there's always a spot for anybody related or affiliated with you, because I trust you, my brother.
Alrighty, I will definitely keep you to your words, things of that nature. But I have a few surprises that are coming up, so I'll keep you in the loop so you'll know what's going on. But it's just I feel where EastSouth Publishing is going, and where Anthony Pathfinder, the author, the writer, is going. I feel good about it. And I believe the last time I spoke with you, I had mentioned to you about this specific program. Remember, I told you, GD, you got to get back to this. You have to, because I enjoyed the last time I was on your show, and you're very eloquent.
Oh, wow.
You speak well. Yeah, and you have this charisma about you, and I thought those are things that a person will always need to have in order to, do a project like yours, and you have it. Yeah.
Well,
so
what, that really means a lot, because I didn't know if I would do it. I don't know, after my mother passed, and because I had stopped because I got up to season 6, and then there was a guy that was helping me out. He was like feeding me all of these people. And I said, well, it's kind of getting away from me and what I want to discuss. And then I had a lot of growth to do as well. And then I'm not sure what triggered me saying, hey, I want to get this started again. And so I just put my best foot forward, went out and got this equipment that I have. It only costs like $49, podcaster equipment. I'm thinking like a podcaster, and eventually it's going to do the video part. But you know what, man, I appreciate your friendship, your kindness, your brotherhood.
Likewise,
and anything that I could do, again, you're welcome on the show anytime you want to get something out of that. But in the meantime, you continue to do the work that you do, and know that you got a fan in me.
Likewise, my brother, and always keep this in mind. If not now, when?
Exactly. And on that note,
when?
If not now, when? And on that note, I want to say thank you. I'm going to let you go ahead and go on with the rest of your day, and God bless you, man.
Likewise, my brother. You take care of yourself and keep on going, all right?
Okay, I will. I promise. You do the same.
All right. Bless up.
All right, bless up.
All right.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.